Hello and welcome to another episode of the Indie Alternative Podcast. It's me, Chris. On this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by singer-songwriter Ulysses Wells. We dive into his musical journey, the creative process of his songwriting, inspirations behind his music and his sound, and also some insights into his latest work and forthcoming projects and what he's getting up to next. Just before we hit the interview, here's those reminders of how to support the podcast. Don't forget to follow on the socials. All those links are in the show notes. Also, you can support financially by buying me a virtual coffee. Link to that is in the show notes too. And lastly, you can write a review if you fancy that. Also, links to Ulysses' work is also in the description. But that's enough of the waffle. Here's Ulysses. Welcome to the podcast, Ulysses Wells. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Whereabouts in the world are you as well?
I've recently just moved to London, so I'm actually doing a play in North London, so in Hampstead. So I'm hence, so that's where I am at the moment. But I have been living on the Isle of Wight. So
lovely place.
Yeah.
The Riviera, what they call it, the South Coast Riviera.
Yeah.
I love it there. We absolutely love it here because I'm based in Southampton. So yeah, it's a go-to place for us as a family. And before, it's a beautiful place, part of the country. And you can walk it, and you can walk it in a day.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, you're going to be absolutely knackered by the end. I've got friends of mine that have done Walk the White, and it is not for the faint-hearted. But yeah,
if it'd be great to sort of hear about your musical journey. Pardon the cheesy cliches, but what you've got a fairly distinctive songwriting style and bluesy sound. I would say it's sort of you've got a juxtaposes between sort of heavy rock, blues rock to this lovely folky kind of melancholy kind of sound. And where does that come from?
Yeah, it's a real blend. I think I started off with it was called crack rock. It was sort of a broken man going back, finding himself in a tiny little cabin, middle of nowhere in England, and I just left London and thought I need to just go hell for leather at the music thing, and that's what came out of it. So it was sort of a month in one room, just locking myself in, and it was this very heavy, quite angry stuff. And I did it for about 4 years, and I loved it, and we did quite well. We did some tours with Bastille and Lewis Capaldi, and it was about as big as I think I could probably have taken it at that time. And then I sort of just found another less aggressive version of myself, and really fell in love with sort of lyric writing, and I met some lovely like sort of string players, and the girl who was singing BV, she sang on Eva Cassidy stuff, and they heard these tunes and they were like, yo, these are really lovely, you need to put them out. And I was like, but it's so different. And my publishers just said, "Don't worry about it. I think it works really well." And in this day and age now, you can just chuck out, like mad rock and then have folk as well. So, but I mean, to be honest, I'm starting a new project in January, which I haven't actually told anyone about. Really, it's an embryo of a thing, but it's coming, and I'm going to tell people about the name and stuff in a few months' time. But there's a new similar to Deep Dark Woods in that it's going to be sort of strings and very gentle and more folky. Yeah. And the rock thing will be I'm just releasing all my rock music is going out in the next 2 years. Every 2 weeks I'm releasing a rock song. Some of them are 10 years old, some of them are 2 months old. So yeah.
So single by single, is it, or like an EP? Because you've released, how many EPs have you put out so far?
So 3 EPs. So there was a trilogy that I did, which was like, there was a bit of a story and a theme that ran through these three EPs. Those out. And now this, what I'm doing is I'm just chucking everything out every 2 weeks for consistency, and also because I have so much
Yeah.
stuff. Um, I feel I'm free now. I don't have my own label. I'm doing it all DIY, and there's a freedom that I haven't had before. So I just thought, do you know what? With the guys that I have, we're happy with the songs. We love them. We don't want to change them anymore. And I think they were written at a time when, we were all making a lot of music, and we weren't sure quite where we were going. But now we've just cherry picked
Yeah.
maybe 30 of the best songs from a collection of hundreds, and we're just gonna slipstream them out over the net, and the response has been wicked. And the next one's coming out on Friday, and already I've just been contacted by BBC, and they've put it on their new show thing, so that's really cool.
Oh wow.
Orbit thing. So yeah, so things are, after a long stalled like 4 years with COVID and
Yeah.
management's not being sure, and record labels, people not really sure which direction to take the project, but knowing that there was a future in it, we all just thought, sod it, let's just scrap that. We've got nothing to lose by just throwing it all out ourselves. So that's where we're at, really.
And so, going back even further, who would be your kind of main influences growing up? Who were you listening to?
I mean, I think I was listening at the beginning. I was listening to the Guitar Heroes, and Jeff Beck and Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton. That was my staple.
Yeah.
And then I think Eminem, I was massively taken with him, and Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, Nick Drake, John Martin, and then
You could definitely hear the sort of that kind of, especially with the Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan kind of esque delivery, I think, and some of your vocal style is reminiscent of that kind of husky tones and world weary kind of sound. It really suits.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of just as drunk as possible, really, or drunk. Yeah, yeah. That's the way. Yeah, there's nothing. I think I was never a vocalist. I never thought myself a vocalist. I wanted to be an electric guitar player, but I think one has to, you sort of admit defeat when you've been to enough blues jams, and a 10-year-old has sort of come up and absolutely kicked your ass. So you just think, and also, to be honest, I think that world for me, the idea of just playing blues, I've got some great friends and people that I really respect that do that world, and it's a hell of a sort of, you can make a great life out of it, but it's not easy. Not
Yeah.
in music easy, but it's, for me, writing songs then became the focus.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
Um,
what were your early kind of influences in, not influences, but where were you coming from a writing perspective? What were you drawing upon?
um, I think at the beginning it was, I mean, the beginning of the project was, it was, I think it was based, a lot of the songs were based quite a lot on myself. I was angry. I had a 10-year relationship with someone, and then my best friend had sort of gone off with her.
All
But it
right,
was
that's
that's
taste
not,
it.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's got to be a story behind this.
it is exactly. That's spot
Oh.
on. Well done. Yeah, very, very well
Yeah,
observed. Yes, that was the embryo. So that was the beginning of, crack rock, as it was called. And
yeah,
then as it went on, it's just it's gone from, I tried. I think I read a David Bowie thing that he wrote every day, and I thought that's a brilliant plan. And so
yeah,
I would write maybe 2 or 3 a day sometimes, and just try. And then this wonderful man called Richard Turvey, he did all the Blossom stuff and the choral. We worked together, and he just said, "Mate, it's not fucking rocket science. Just throw the shit at the wall and see what sticks." And I was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
You're brilliant. That's exactly it. Just take off all the pretentious nonsense and just get on with it. And so yes, I mean that's been sort of motto.
You have to kind of I've heard other guests say it the same thing in terms of writing. Like you have to almost treat it like a job that you have to get up and put, like you say, pen to paper and just see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's the law of averages. Like there's few geniuses that are like going to write a great song every day, and then maybe one day they have like a moment of thinking they'll write a brilliant song. But I'm not one of those guys. I've written some absolute crap, like real rubbish,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy to show everyone that as well. But um, it's all coming. But I mean, Ed Sheeran said it. I think he said a really good thing. Um, Not that he doesn't say good things, but he said that if you turn the tap on, at first the dirty water sort of comes out, and then
Yeah.
the clean water follows. You get the rust and shit out of the thing. So it's just like anything. You just do the more you do it, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. And is there a particularly more productive time to write for you? Is it like the after dark, the witching hour when the whiskey's opened, or is it like up in the morning, like sleeping on some tune and writing it down? Is there a little sort of
Uh,
habit?
I mean, I say I'm probably more. I'm not a morning person. I think I think um, I think you got to find where you're. Some people would you know poke the fire all night and keep it alight and keep guard, and some would go out hunting in the morning. I'm not the guy that would go out with the spear in the morning. That's not me. I definitely will poke the fire and sort of try and fend off badly whatever would come my way.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so probably nighttime. I mean, that's really. But I mean, then that said, I have written some of my favorite songs in the day. So
Yeah.
it's a different. I think like if I'm drinking, then I'll be in the night. And I have moments of sobriety and moments of where I'm not sober. But so I think it's sort of whether you use the night to your benefit. Again, this is actually another David Bowie thing where he would when he got sober, he realized the day he would write very differently, and the night would be a whole another world that he decided against.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's no rules. Everyone try it all. Try writing. From my experience, try writing whatever time. I think Childish Gambino, he would wake up straight away and he would put pen to paper, which I thought was really interesting. I tried that as well, so that's cool.
That's good. Well,
Yeah.
don't do what I did in the early days when I was a musician and write down the lyrics on a piece of paper, put it in, and then end up sending it to along with your CV and job application to a prospective job employer. And then a friend of mine said, he opened up your letter and that, and they said there was a poem inside on a bit of paper, and I was like, what? So I'd written these lyrics out, and was doing obviously a job application as well on the side, and just they ended up going in the same envelope. But yeah, I didn't get the job despite what was in it. I mean, it was a nice letter, but
Amazing. That's brilliant.
yeah, luckily I
Yeah.
could remember the lyrics. But yeah, yeah,
Did
that's
you
always
get did you get the job?
no, I didn't even get an interview, mate. So there you go. That says something about the song rather than probably me. Um, so in terms of guitar and songwriting and the the juggle between the two, because you're pretty prolific, experienced guitar player. So how do you get the riff, and a lot of your music, or sort of the projects you were talking about earlier, is very riff heavy. It's very strong riffs, catchy sort of rock riffs and blues riffs.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you weave the vocal in between that, or do you see them both as completely separate jobs?
Do you know what? That's a really good question. I think I definitely I've approached it so many different ways, but I
Mm.
think so when I'm writing riff-based songs, it's totally different to when I'm writing an acoustic singer-songwriter, put my title song and take me to the Globe Theatre. So and I actually find it much harder to write the poppier rock stuff because um, you can't be as flowery with the words. They have to be way more direct. And you've got to hit it so that everyone, from the piss bloke at the back of the pub to whatever your Cambridge graduate, like, and it's got to hit and be like clever enough, but also just simple. And I think that's like the Beatles are the masters of that sort of simplicity, but it's not cheesy, And that, I think that's the hard line. Like great pop music is treading that line of, is it too are we or is it too far, or isn't it? And I think so for me it would be a question of scatting probably over the top of a riff and pulling out as much of it as possible, and then just, yeah, law of averages, just going and going until I feel like I've got something decent. And like Taste It, I think we did 12 versions.
Oh,
Like I think
right.
the song took me 6 months to go for, and it doesn't sound like much, but actually break down the song and I was really chuffed with it because it's an arrangement that I think I haven't heard before, and it was using a lot of like electronics drum samples that I then manipulated to work with a real drum kit, which took forever. And that blend with a great drummer, Josh, and we did that at Warner with this incredible sound engineer. And just the day after Biffy Clyro came in, and they were like, "Yeah, this is." I remember we thinking, "Crumbs, I think this is a wicked song," um, and it was just a killer. We had a killer bass player and a killer drummer, Josh Bennett and Jason Gale, and that top line took me a long time to get the arrangement right, and a lot of different versions and a lot of pulling away and like, do I miss this? And then if
Right.
it's like kill your darlings, like, so you just, the things that you really love, actually delete them, and then it's like, okay, wake up in the morning, do I still like it? So yeah, so it's not easy. Like I don't like the easiest songs. A lot of people say, yeah, are the best. Actually, for me, it's like, especially with the riff based stuff, some of the hardest songs that I've found have been the most interesting to my ear anyway.
And you've got to have that quality control as well, haven't you? To be able, like you say, to be able to cut it and or leave it, and have that faith in yourself to be able to come up with a product that you're proud of without any of the bulk or the weight, as you say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think you got to be brave and just yeah, strike it, and if you miss it, and put it back in. Now that's the great thing. It's like cooking. Like, you put some crap in that you think, oh, that, and you taste it, it's like, oh no, it doesn't work. But you can't take it out really unless you've got a straw and you can see it. So, but with mixing now, you, or like arranging or writing songs, anything you put in, you can delete, and then as long as you press save as, you can reopen it, and there it
Yeah.
is. So,
So you've played some, energetic live shows with this sound, and you did quite intimate sort of acoustic shows with this folk side. Um, it's a bit of a difficult question, but what would you say you prefer? I know they probably give you different things, but
mm.
what do you take from each of them, apart from sweat in one and maybe not so much sweat in the other?
Uh, um, well, I'd say I'd take back the ladies more with the folk thing than with the rock by a long way. Because the
Classic.
rock thing is ugly as hell. But I
Yeah,
mean, the,
yeah.
the folk thing is much more romantic. But um, to be honest, now I'm an old crodger. I think the folk thing is easier. I can sit down on my chair and sort of have a lovely evening, and I don't have to do anything much. I just sort of just sing the song and stare at my shoes and play sad boy, and it's sort of, and that's fine. Whereas the rock thing, that's exhausting. I'm flying to Italy on Friday, and we're playing a 2 hour rock set in Modena at a festival at 10 o'clock, and we're gonna just plane through the night and then get there at 10 p.m. So we're not going to have slept, and then we've got to go on and do 2 hours, which is going to be great. But it is going to be one hell of a workout.
I don't know, but my knees couldn't take that. I mean, that sounds horrific.
And yeah, I think my bass player's got sort of 3 inhalers at the side, sort of ready to go.
Whenever we get asked to do like a 2 45-minute set, because I've sold out and I'm in a covers band now, but
really?
which I really enjoy. It does something different. But whenever it's like, whenever the venue or the booker says, "Well, you want 245s," I'm like, "What? Is there a stall? Can I sit down halfway through?" It's quite challenging, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an intense, but you'll be sort of just on adrenaline, won't you? In that situation.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I think it will be great fun. And I've got Jason Gale. He's one of probably the best bass players, certainly on the South Coast, if not in the UK. I know Chris Wood from Bastille would have my back on saying that he's probably one of the best bass players in the country. And he's come back to playing bass after 2 years of having 3 children, and he's been in so many different amazing bands and played with incredible people. I'm so relieved to have him back playing again, because he's an exceptional talent, and he was a brickie. He went and worked as a labourer for a couple of years, and he's just jacked it in now and decided that he wants to come back to the dark side.
Yeah.
So his mental health is going to struggle, but he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing.
So that's amazing. What's next? I know you kind of alluded to something happening with a kind of different project, but yeah, I guess that's the next thing you're digging your teeth into or sinking your teeth into.
Yeah, I'm doing a play till the end of November in Hampstead, and then after that, I'm going to sort of get back into the studio and finish off recording and mixing and mastering. I think we're going to do it very DIY and do it all ourselves, and I've got some great string players that I want to put on it, and yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited about it. It's very much sort of lyric and story led, and certainly the first record that I've got planned, and it's going to be a lot of the folkier songs, a lot of the more Nick Drakey, bare bones, double bass, and live piano, and yeah, so it's gonna be in that vein. Yeah.
Just going back to, are you acting in the play, or, I mean, that sounds like a stupid question. Is that something else that how did you manage to reframe that? How did you manage to get that?
How the hell? What are you doing? Yeah, I know. That's another thing that I'm very passionate about is acting. So I have decided to sort of throw myself at the acting game as well and do a bit of a Johnny Flynn. He's sort of the dream job, really. So he's worked with some great things, and I really rate his music. So and I guess I love being on stage, and I love acting. And last year I did My Fair Lady, which I played Henry Higgins in that, which is about as rock and roll as yeah, I don't know, but not very rock and roll. So, but it was like life changing, and in that it was music with an orchestra.
Yeah,
I was sort of singing. So, but it was just great fun, and I loved it, and I thought this is I want to do this, and you get rehearsal, whereas with a band, everyone's so busy these days to rehearse. You don't get 3 months rehearsal before a show. You get 1-2 days, if you're lucky, with a band these days. Because
you get a line check.
Yeah, you get a line check. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I didn't know about that about you. That's really cool. So that's something you're always, I guess, looking out for new roles as well to play along and do alongside the music. And yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, and film and theatre, and I'm applying to go back to drama school and do a few like a year or something, part-time course, just to sort of get some more, I don't know, strings. You can never stop learning, I think. So just got to keep learning.
That's amazing.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And
Yeah, thank you very much for doing it. Yeah. And good luck with the new record, and good luck with the play and everything. And hopefully, if you're down south and that, I'll come and see your shows or get to see you if you're planning it.
yeah, definitely. Please do. I mean, I'll be around on the south coast as of December, so
Mhm.
hopefully I'll be playing some shows, maybe one at the Wedgwood Rooms or something.
Cool.
So
Well,
that'd be great.
That's Portsmouth. You can't do that. You'll have to. I can't go to Portsmouth
Oh
because
yeah,
of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, sorry, I
We're not
forgot
allowed.
about
They scan you on the
that.
way in.
I know.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I'll try and catch you. I'll keep an eye on dates, but do anything in Southampton to join us, or even back in the. I'll get on a ferry as well. It's fine. I can do that.
Yeah, come on over. I've got a little boat I can come get.
It'd be like Dundee. What's it? Oh God, what's that film when the boats come over for
Dunkirk, is it?
Dunkirk? As you said, Dundee. Then Dunkirk. Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, no
Okay.
less pounds.
Well, I will let you go now. You've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Ulysses, and take care.
Cheers, mate.
All right.
Nice to meet you, and yeah, lovely to chat.